Have you ever stopped to think about what time really means to you? I'm not just talking about hours and minutes, but about that feeling that it's always ticking away, slipping through our fingers. For some, time is a relentless master, dictating every step, every decision. For others, it's a precious ally, a constant companion that accompanies us on every journey. But in a world where every second matters, where precision and reliability are more than desirable, one crown stands out: Rolex. More than a brand, Rolex is a symbol of luxury, yes, but also of precision, power, and achievement. But behind this global icon, this image of perfection, there's a story that few know, a saga of overcoming, of ambition, of a vision that defied the very gears of time. Today, let's embark on a different journey together. Let's unravel the story of an orphan who, against all odds, built an empire. A story that goes beyond the sparkle of diamonds and the mesmerizing ticking of a clock. Get ready for an adventure that will touch your heart and inspire you to look at time in a whole new way. Close your eyes for a moment and try to imagine, what does it mean to lose everything at the age of 12? We're not talking about a lost toy or an unfair punishment. We're talking about the foundation of life, the protective embrace of a parent, the certainty of having a home to return to. For Hans Wilsdorf, this reality was brutally ripped from his hands. Orphaned as a boy, he didn't have time to be a child. Suddenly, he was alone, facing a world that made no concessions, a world that didn't expect him to be ready. Most people would crumble under such a harsh blow. After all, how do you move on when everything you know dissolves in the blink of an eye? Loneliness could have consumed him. Fear could have imprisoned him. But Hans wasn't like most people. Something inside him refused to accept defeat. In place of hopelessness, a spark ignited, an invisible but powerful force that drove him to keep going. The pain that could have crushed him became his greatest drive. Like steel forged by fire, Hans was shaped by hardship. Each challenge was a new lesson, each setback a test of his resolve. He did not allow himself to be a victim of circumstances. Instead, he decided that he would be the architect of his own destiny. It was this unwavering resilience that kept him moving forward day after day, never looking back. His childhood was stolen from him, but in return he gained something even more valuable: the ability to transform adversity into fuel for his ambition. The orphan boy who faced the world empty-handed would one day hold time in his hands and shape it with the precision of a master. Hans Wilsdorf set out in search of a new beginning. He left behind not only the pains of the past, but also the limitations of a world that no longer matched his vision. His destination? Switzerland, the beating heart of world watchmaking, where time was not only measured, but worshipped as a true art. When he arrived, it was as if he had stepped through a portal into another universe. There, every hand, every gear, every tiny detail of a watch was treated with an almost sacred devotion. It wasn't just about measuring seconds. It was about taming them, shaping them to perfection. Fascinated, Hans dove into this new world with a voracious appetite. He didn't just want to learn the craft. He wanted to reinvent it, but something bothered him. Traditional pocket watches, symbols of status and precision at the time, seemed like pieces of the past. They were static, fragile, limited. Hans knew that the future was not there. He dreamed of something revolutionary, something that could not just be carried around, but rather incorporated into people's daily lives. Something that lived on the wrist, that accompanied every movement, that was as reliable as time itself. In Switzerland, he found the fertile ground to bring this idea to life. Working alongside master watchmakers, he absorbed centuries-old secrets, studied each mechanism, and understood the soul behind the gears. With each piece dismantled, with each new discovery, it became clearer. He didn't just want to make watches. He wanted to change the way the world related to time forever. And the transformation had already begun. At the turn of the 20th century, the wristwatch was seen as a delicate adornment, a piece of feminine jewelry that shone in the salons of high society. Traditionally, men relied on imposing pocket watches, symbols of status and punctuality. They were sturdy pieces, kept in waistcoats, and only taken out when the moment demanded it. For them, time was still something that was taken out of their pockets, not something that was integrated into their lives. But Hans Wilsdorf saw further. For him, the wristwatch was not just a fashion item, but a powerful tool, an ally in everyday life. He envisioned a future in which time would always be at hand, in a practical and reliable way. However, this idea was considered bold and even ridiculous by the traditional watch industry. Skeptics argued that a wristwatch could never offer the same precision as a pocket watch. In addition, there was a challenge of durability. Smaller, more exposed watches would be too fragile to withstand the fast pace of modern life. But Hans did not back down. He not only believed in the future of the wristwatch, he was determined to make it a global necessity. To do this, he needed something revolutionary, a wristwatch that was as accurate as a pocket watch and, above all, durable enough to withstand any challenge. It was with this vision in mind that, in 1905, he founded Wilsdorf and Davis, his first watchmaking company, together with his brother-in-law Alfred Davis. At first, they imported Swiss movements and installed them in British cases, creating elegant and reliable timepieces. But Hans knew that simply reselling them was not enough. He wanted to transform, innovate, change the perception of time forever. The true test of his idea came in the First World War. On the battlefield, soldiers quickly discovered that pocket watches were impractical. In the heat of combat, opening a vest and pulling out a watch meant a second wasted. A second that could cost one's life. It was there, in the chaos of war, that the wristwatch proved its worth. Soldiers began to adapt their pocket watches, attaching bracelets to them, so they could be worn on their wrists. Hans realized that this was not just a temporary whim, but a permanent transformation. While traditional watchmakers hesitated, Hans forged ahead. He knew that if he could create a wristwatch of impeccable precision and unquestionable robustness, he would change the way the world viewed time forever. The stage was set. The world was changing. And Hans Wilsdorf was about to launch the greatest revolution in the history of watchmaking. In 1908, Hans Wilsdorf made a decision that would change everything. His company was growing, his wristwatches were starting to gain traction, but something essential was missing: a strong, universal, and unforgettable name. A name that conveyed the essence of precision, sophistication, and innovation that he was so eager to achieve. Hans wanted a name that transcended borders, that was easy to pronounce in any language, and that, at the same time, evoked strength and elegance. After testing several combinations of words, he found the perfect sound: Rolex. Short, striking, memorable. But creating a name was not enough. He wanted more than just a watch brand. He wanted to build a legacy, a synonym for absolute excellence. To do this, he would need to overcome technical challenges, transform Rolex into a world reference, and, above all, convince the public that a wristwatch could be as reliable, or even more so, than a pocket watch. The first big step came with the search for chronometric precision. Hans did something unprecedented. He subjected his wristwatches to rigorous testing by the Swiss and British observatories, institutions that certified only the most accurate watches in the world. In 1910, a Rolex became the first wristwatch to receive a certificate of chronometric accuracy from the Vienna Observatory. In 1914, another model received the Class A certification from the Kew Observatory in England, a recognition previously reserved only for marine chronometers. Hans had achieved the unthinkable. He proved to the world that a wristwatch could be as accurate as the best pocket watches. But he didn't stop there. If Rolex wanted to be a reference, its watches had to be resistant to anything. This is how the Oyster was born, the first truly waterproof wristwatch. In 1927, swimmer Mercedes Gleitze crossed the English Channel wearing a Rolex Oyster on her wrist. After more than 10 hours in the icy waters, the watch emerged intact and in perfect working order. Hans, ever the master of marketing, turned this feat into a global event. He took out a full-page advert in the Daily Mail, proclaiming the unparalleled durability of the Oyster. The world was fascinated. Rolex was not just a watch. It was a symbol of endurance, of innovation, of absolute precision. Over the years, Hans continued to push the boundaries. With each new model, with each new advancement, he cemented Rolex as a definitive brand of fine watchmaking. It was no longer just about measuring time, but about mastering time. Rolex was born to last forever, and Hans Wilsdorf had ensured that his legacy would live on forever, tick after tick. Hans Wilsdorf knew that the true test of excellence did not lie in laboratory tests or well-crafted speeches. Perfection had to be challenged, put to the test in the most hostile environments, where a single second of inaccuracy could mean the difference between success and failure. If Rolex wanted to be recognized as the absolute benchmark for reliability, resistance, and precision, its watches had to push the limits of the impossible. And so Rolex conquered the seas, the skies, and the unexplored heights of the world. In 1927, swimmer Mercedes Gleitze crossed the English Channel, wearing a Rolex on her wrist. After more than 10 hours of braving the icy, turbulent waters, the watch emerged unscathed and functioning perfectly. It was the first major testament to the brand's resistance to water and the first step for Rolex in the creation of truly waterproof watches. But the challenges did not stop there. Daring aviators took Rolex watches to skies, braving freezing temperatures and extreme altitudes as they soared above the unforgiving Mount Everest. As they braved the biting winds and the lack of oxygen, the watches maintained their impeccable precision, proving that they were worthy of the trust of the most fearless explorers. On the racetrack, where speed dictated the pace and every second was precious, Rolex watches became indispensable allies. Under intense vibrations, brutal accelerations, and violent impacts, they held up without fail, proving that they were ready to face any challenge. Each of these extraordinary feats was not just a test, but a seal of quality. The swimmer, the aviators, and the pilots were not just wearers of the brand. They became legends, living ambassadors of Rolex precision and endurance. For them, and for the world, a Rolex was not just a watch. It was an inseparable companion, a symbol of victory and a testament to the tireless human spirit, always ready to go beyond the impossible. Hans Wilsdorf passed away in 1960, but his legacy transcends time, remaining as alive as the gears of a working Rolex. Rolex, under protection of the Wilsdorf Foundation, is not just a brand, but a symbol of excellence, innovation, and philanthropy. Hans' vision of transforming a simple watch into a symbol of precision and reliability continues to guide the company, driving it to strive for perfection in every detail. From orphan to tycoon, Hans Wilsdorf defied time, building an empire that continues to inspire generations. His story is a testament to the power of resilience, the importance of vision, and the ability to turn adversity into opportunity. He teaches us that with determination and passion, we can achieve our dreams, even if the world tells us otherwise. The story of Rolex is not just about watches, but about the journey of a man who dared to dream big and turn his vision into reality. It is a story that invites us to reflect on our own dreams, to seek excellence in everything we do, and to leave our own mark on time. And now I ask you, what mark will you leave on time? What legacy will you build? The story of Hans Wilsdorf is not only an inspiring tale, but an invitation to reflect. He teaches us that, regardless of the circumstances, we have the power to shape our own destiny, to transform adversity into opportunity, and to build a future that we can be proud of. Hans' journey inspires us to strive for excellence in everything we do, to pursue our dreams with passion and determination, and to never give up in the face of obstacles. He reminds us that time is a precious resource, an ally that can propel us to achieve our goals. Rolex is not just an instrument for measuring time. It is a testament to human achievement. It is the story of a man who dared to defy convention, turn obstacles into springboards, and leave an everlasting mark on the world. And so, with every tick of a Rolex, Hans Wilsdorf's legacy lives on, reminding us all that greatness has no end. It is perpetuated in time.